Hey, my name's John. It's a nice Saturday morning here in Western PA, and today we're making maple syrup. It's one of my favorite times of year. First signs of spring. Normally we get started in February, but here it is the first weekend of March, and it's the first time we're cooking syrup. Just has been a colder February this year. But I'll show you a little bit about how we do it. It's a homemade setup. Not super fancy. You know, we don't sell it or anything. We just do it for fun, and we like syrup. And we have the trees, and I don't know, it's just something we kind of like to do. But you can see the evaporator. You know, the base of it's nothing fancy. I made it out of brick and cinder block, and I put a pipe in there to get the smoke away. And then I got a couple stainless flat pans here that I put the maple sap in, and it boils down to syrup. And it's about 7 in the morning here, and I'll be doing this the better part of the day. And I kind of started smaller. I just set up a couple cinder blocks and was starting with like a cafeteria style pan and a turkey pot. And over the past 5-6 years it got bigger and bigger, and I bought one of these big flat pans, and that sped it up a lot. And then my kids got older and we were eating more and more syrup, and of course my friends all want some and family wants some. And so then my buddy there, he made me the second pan, and that other box right there is called a warming box. It helps warm the cold sap as you add it, so that you're not killing your boil. But it's kind of nice. I wish I had another one, but I don't yet. And really, I wish I had a really fancy pro grade evaporator. You know, you look at ones from like Smoky Lake or Leader, and they're really nice, but a couple $1,000s. And you know, like I said, we're not selling this at this point, so it's on the someday list, not the today list. You know, this whole setup here to build it, you know, the pans, I think I have a couple $100 in, and you know, most of the material to build the firebox I had sitting around. Maybe I have $100 or $200 into that, and for now it works for us, you know. But you know, I push firewood in here, use a shovel to help, and smoke goes out the chimney, and the heat rises onto the pans, and the sap boils. Now we're using mostly red maple trees, not sugar, and typically it's 75-1 is the ratio. And you know, I wish I had sugar maples. There's some further down on my uncle's farm, but you know, it's a lot of time to go get them, whereas my own maple trees are right there, right in front of my house, and it kind of works for me. And normally while I'm doing this, I work on stacking some of my firewood. Normally I'm doing it a little earlier in the year. I got most of my firewood stacked already this year, so it's a different kind of year. But it is what it is, can't control it. Now, normally you want to try to keep this down to only about 2 inches of sap in there. But I just loaded it up a little heavier because it's still early in the morning, and I want to go up to the house and have a cup of coffee and say hi to the kids. They're normally up watching TV by now. My wife really likes to sleep in when she can, and being a Saturday, she will. But so I loaded up a little heavier just so it doesn't burn down while I'm gone, and you know, burn up my syrup. And is it the right way to do it? I don't know. Like a lot of people, I don't have enough time to do everything the way you probably should, so, and I have other things I have to do, so I kind of find ways that work for me. That's about what we're doing. I'm gonna head back to the house, and I'll check in with you guys later. Those are my sap buckets. I had to take most of my sap up to my garage last night because it's been getting pretty cold the last couple of nights, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried to boil ice blocks, but it's hard. we're back down here at the evaporator an hour or so later. You know, had some coffee, spent a little time with the kids. Back down here, checking on it, just put more wood on the fire. Sap levels look pretty good. You can see all the steam coming off. That's the water evaporating. And you know, for anybody who doesn't know, the way you make maple syrup is you take the sap and you boil it until it's syrup. And you can see it rolling boil there. Really, it's doing pretty good. I tried something new this year. I got this little battery-powered Milwaukee fan unit. Oh, sometime this fall. It was some kind of free gift for some other tool I bought when I was building my garage. Didn't think much of it when I got it. Kind of like, yeah, I'll never use that anyway, but whatever. And brought it home, and it's been sitting in the garage ever since. And I was looking at some other evaporators that have, you know, forced air systems online, and I said, I wonder if that fan will, you know, help me get more air into my fire and make it more torrent and boil a little faster. So thought I'd give it a try today. Guess I'll let you know how it works. Seems to have the fire going more. I don't know if you can see this, but I put those 2 cinder blocks toward the bottom to try to shield some of the heat coming back toward the battery. I don't really want to destroy the battery or the fan, but we're going to try that today. You know, like I said, it's kind of a poor man's evaporator setup here, and I shouldn't say that. I'm pretty blessed financially, but you know, I can't buy anything I want whenever I want, and like I said, we don't really do this for money. It's more for fun. So you know, it just hasn't gotten to be more than it is yet. Maybe someday we'll have a sugar house and we'll have a real fancy evaporator and continuous flow, forced air induction and all that, but not today. And you know, I'm okay with that. Steam's coming at us here. It's boiling pretty good now, but I don't know if you guys can see through all this steam coming off. That's the water boiling off. And ooh, that chimney's getting hot. That's good. You can I doubt you'll be able to see through the steam. There you can see it a little bit maybe, but that's what we do pretty much all day, and it'll cook down and cook down. And you know, a lot of people run the continuous flow pans where, you know, the heavier syrup pushes toward the end, and it's a cool setup. I haven't gone that route yet, and one of the reasons I haven't gone that route yet is because I'm always trying to do other things at the same time. I think a lot of people have a full-time job. I got little kids, I got a house, I got all kind of stuff I need to do. You know, my plan for part of today is to finish stacking some of this firewood. I'm trying some of these baskets here that I've seen people do on the internet, but the flat pans, you know, you don't have to watch as closely, and I can get some other things done. Sometimes I go out, I check my buckets out in the woods. Sometimes I'm doing other stuff. You know, one of these days I got to get my driveway graded. I got a lot of stuff I got to get done. And you know, with the flat pans I can walk away a little bit more. Now the disadvantage is I've found that all your syrup is dark. You don't get any of that light syrup because it all boils so much longer. Now, color I don't really think matters. Some people really like the real light grade syrup. But the other thing I've noticed, and I don't know if it's because I'm boiling flat pan all day or if it's because I have the red maples, but the syrup we make is a lot more flavorful. It's a lot it's got a heavier maple flavor. And yeah, this could all be in our heads, but my wife and I think that cooking it on the open fire like this, it almost has a bit of a smoke flavor in the syrup. We really like it, so you know, I don't really worry about it. I know the really light colored syrup is considered fancy grade and people pay more money for it, but you know, for us this is what we like and kind of how we do it, and it just is where we're at right now, and you know, we're okay with it. You know, who knows, maybe someday I'll be one of those high-end maple farmers, but that day isn't today. So we do things the best we can, and everybody kind of does things their own way. I try not to criticize others and kind of do things my way, and it's the way we live. But anyway, well, I'm gonna put you guys down for a while. I gotta go back up to the garage way up there and load up some more sap to bring down here, and then get all that firewood stacked. So I got a long day. Well, we're back. It's somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock. I just put the last of my fresh sap on there, or actually it's sap concentrate. I had run it through reverse osmosis throughout the week as I collected it, but the last of the sap's on the fire and it's stoked up pretty good, and she's really boiling now. You can really see it boiling there. If you can see through all that steam, steam's the water coming off. So another couple hours, we'll be about ready to get in the house and finish it up on the stove. But boiling pretty good today. The sun came out. Seems like since the sun came out it's evaporating a little faster, but I don't know, that could be my mind playing tricks with me. But I got all my firewood stacked there. Well, we're back. It's a little after 5, maybe 5:30. You'll notice I consolidated down to one pan. It was getting too shallow in the two of them, so I'll bring it down all into one, and I pour it out one of the valves and use a transfer pot and consolidate out one pan for last hour or so. It's, you don't want to spend a whole day doing this only to burn it, so you got to be careful toward the end. But pretty soon I'm going to pull it off this, and I'm going to pour it into this filter here. It's just a piece of wool and a strainer, and I filter it a lot more after I finish it, but this gets all the fire gunk out of it, and then I take it up in this pot and I'll finish boiling it in the kitchen. It's real easy to control my temperature, real easy to watch it. You know, you just move the pot off the burner if you need to, whereas trying to finish on an open fire like this, it's not real easy. So that's the next step. So of course my help shows up when we're almost done. What are you doing, Lex?
I came down to help you.
Oh yeah? Alright, I want all that firewood over there stacked, okay? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not ready to stack it yet. Just be careful, that fire's hot, okay?
Got it.
Alright, pretty soon we gotta take it off, so we'll have to filter it here. So this is how I finish it here on the stove. And you see it boiling there in the pot. And at roughly 219 degrees is when it becomes syrup. Now you can check it with a hydrometer too. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You know, like I said, we don't really sell it, so sometimes I just don't bother, but for the most part it's syrup when I hit 219 degrees. And it'll start to foam up, so you got to watch it pretty close, kind of adjust your heat. That's why I do this on the stove. You know, I'm down to, oh, I think that pot will hold almost 5 gallons, but probably down to 3.5, 4 gallons, and I should finish out somewhere between 2 and 3 gallons of syrup. Once I come out of here, I run everything through this filter setup here, and it's a wool cone filter. I've got a couple paper pre-filters, and let it dry in there, and that picks out a lot of the niter sand and whatever I didn't get filtering coming off the fire. Oh, it's foaming over. Reduce my heat. And you guys are probably fogging up, but it's a lot easier to do it, to finish in here in the house. It just you know, just like I just did, I can dial my heat back down, where when you're down there on the fire and trying to work with a big massive pan, it's pretty hard. But you know, I had about 100 gallons of syrup concentrate, and that was about 200 gallons of sap, and this being the red maple at 75 to 1, you know, I should be pretty close to 3 gallon, but I'll lose some in my filter process and stick into pots and stuff. You know, if I put up 2.5 gallon today, I'll be pretty happy. It looks like it's getting closer there, and you know, I'd be lying if I said I didn't occasionally do a taste check. But it's about how we finish it. So I just got to 219. Looks like syrup. Started filtering. Nice amber colored syrup there. And what I do, I scoop it out. And through this here filter, I got a couple of pre-filters that catch some of the heavy stuff. And you can throw them out. I normally use 2 because as one plugs up, I pull it out and just let the next one go. But when it's good and hot, it filters a lot faster than when it's not. So the final step is to bottle it. You know, I like these old Jack bottles for us. They're just the right size. But last year I did buy a case of actual maple syrup jugs. So case of jugs, the plastic with the caps and everything was $120, something like that. I think there were about 80 jugs in there, so it's pretty reasonable. I used to use mason jars. You know, like I said, we really like these whiskey bottles just because they're about the right size and real easy to pour. And problem is I don't drink that much whiskey, so it's not like I have an abundance of them. But this is kind of how I do it. I just use a funnel and a ladle, and once all my syrup is through this filter, I'll get it out of my way. But you know, you do lose just a little bit of syrup here in the process between all the tools and whatnot, but not too bad. Now, one of the tricks is to always have the next jug ready to go. Otherwise, your funnel will get syrup everywhere. For about the next 2-3 days, you'll find syrup in your kitchen from something. But it's okay. That is the finished product right there. Like I said, I always end up with a darker amber syrup. I guess it's a red maple thing. I think the flat pan does some of it. But that It's a pretty good looking jug of syrup. So I'm going to bottle the rest of this up, and tomorrow morning we're going to have some waffles. And that there's the final product. About 2.5 gallons today. Not great, not bad. I would have liked to have gotten closer to 3, but it is what it is, and you know, I don't get to control the sugar content in the syrup, so sometimes it's a better year, sometimes it's a lighter year, but about average, I'd say, this year for sugar content. Anyway, we get 2-3 more weekends like this, I'll be pretty happy.